Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, it's Leave It in the Ring.
Okay, welcome to another edition of the Will Be Blood Fight Show. I'm your host, Dave Duenas. I know it's not a video, it's an audio. Decided to do something a little bit different. I'm pressed for time, so I thought I'd put this up really quick. I did want to talk about this fight a while back. Unfortunately, things got a little hectic, so I didn't have the chance to do it. So here it is. Miguel Cotto stepping in to face Yuri Foreman in the Yankee Stadium, June 6th. That's this Saturday. Let's break it down. Let's find out who's going to take it, why they're going to take it. Well, the first thing is this, man, is that Miguel Cotto is by far warrior. Guys never shy away from a challenge. He's never ducked a fighter. He's right there first to sign and say, hey, I want to fight this person. Doesn't talk trash. He's very respectful. So overall, you cannot disrespect this guy or not like him. He's a very likable fighter. Okay, then you got Yuri Foreman, who's almost in the same mirror of Miguel Cotto, okay? Just in punching power or credibility of what he brings to the table, he's not at that level yet. But going against Miguel Cotto, who's, I would have to say his foot is almost at that door or at that point of walking out completely away from the sport. That's the Miguel Cotto that Yuri Foreman's getting, but it's a credible name to have to face or to beat, to have under your belt. Okay, so let's go with it really quick. Yuri Foreman is your traditional boxer, a guy that really honestly brings more boxing, not a whole lot of power. I think he has like either five knockouts. I can't remember exactly how many knockouts he has on his record, but I know it's pretty low. The last time we seen him was against a dangerous puncher, Daniel Santos. But Daniel Santos' activity really had to put it into. You have to put that in perspective, and it has to come into play. And because Daniel Santos was as a lefty that a lot of fighters or himself, he might have outpriced himself out of fights, or he was just that good that fighters just didn't want to face such a guy that's high risk, little reward. So Daniel Santos makes his comeback fight against Yuri Foreman. Yuri Foreman does rock Daniel Santos, who's been known to have a pretty good jaw, but could have been father time, could have been inactivity that Yuri Foreman got the best of Daniel Santos. I don't know. There's still a lot of questions there whether or not that fight you can really put a lot of credit for Yuri Foreman. That's the bad part about him stepping in with Miguel Cotto. If he beats Miguel Cotto, you're still going to have a lot of questions. Now, Miguel Cotto, the last time we saw him was not successful against Manny Pacquiao. We saw what happened. Miguel Cotto is now 10 more or less to, well, not even more or less. He's now known to bruise up and swell up rapidly in his fights. Now being under the tutelage of Manny Stewart, and now you got to break down what Manny brings to the table. Manny has been great. He's been mostly successful with his bigger heavyweights, notably Vladimir Klitschko to Lennox Lewis. But when it comes to the smaller guys, you gotta now raise your eyebrows about because the fact that he hasn't been so successful. Okay, Jermaine Taylor, even the Kermit Cintrone. You could question those guys regardless, but Manny Stewart just did not have the right game plan. The way I look at way Manny Stewart trains the smaller guys is the way he wants them to kind of resemble Thomas the Hitman Hearns, and stand and trade, use your power. Now, what does he bring for Miguel Cotto? Can he fine tune him? Can he get him prepared against a guy that boxes, doesn't really stand in front of you, that's not going to really want to trade with you? A guy that's a lot bigger, 5'11", a guy that's going to use that length and that reach to outmaneuver you, where you're going to have to cut the ring off and chase down and hopefully trap against the ropes. And at some point, you got to wonder, Is he going to sit on his punches knowing that he's the much bigger man stepping in the ring? So those things you got to put all in factor, okay? What does Emmanuel Stewart do? Is it enough time, okay? And seeing that Emmanuel Stewart has a busy schedule, he's part of the HBO commentating, and he still works with, the Vladimir Klitschko. Is there enough time for Miguel to soak up everything that he needs to? Watching tapes now, that Emmanuel's making him do is watch tapes, have strategy, have a plan. Is it enough to cement in a fighter that is so used to doing things his way? Well, we're not going to know until June 5th. But, a lot of times you have to go with that old saying. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, and let's say Miguel Cotto does stick to the game plan that Emmanuel Stewart was able to print up for him. Does he stick with it? Does he outline it? Does he follow it? Or does he crumble it and throw it away in the mid rounds when his natural being comes out? That's the big part there that he's got to really. It's really Miguel. It's up to Miguel Cotto and what he's gonna do in this fight. It's Yuri Foreman is not going to change. Yuri Foreman is going to be that boxer, the guy that likes to move, the guy that wants to keep the distance, the guy that's not going to want to make it an all-out war, a slugfest. Okay, but it is going to take some moments. He's going to steal some moments in peppering Miguel Cotto. So it's up to Miguel Cotto, in my opinion, in this fight, is whether or not he's going to dictate it the way it should be, which is cut the ring off, be intelligent, or just go forward with no game plan and allow the guy that has fresher legs, allow the guy that has not been in ring wars, allow the guy that's a boxer to outmaneuver and box him. To me, it's a really, honestly, in my opinion, it's a pick-up fight. But if looking at it, in paper, yeah, you got to go with Miguel Cotto because he's fought the better oppositions where Yuri Foreman hasn't. But then you have to look at the fights. You have to look at the tapes. Miguel Cotto is wear and tear. He is wear and tear, to the point that you don't know anymore. We're not for sure anymore. Is he going to be able to steamroll over Yuri Foreman the way he did to Mike Jennings? And I'm going to have to say no. I'm going to have to say that he's going to revert to not having a game plan. He's going to revert to try to box the much taller, lengthier guy and not be successful and get frustrated. And he's just going to come forward and try to cut the ring and maybe walk into a big shot. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, what? Yuri Foreman does a big punch. Yeah, but you remember, Daniel Santos walked into a big shot. And that's the point where you got to look at is, can Miguel Cotto walk into a big shot, or does he swell up or cut easily and they stop the fight on him early? So I'm going to go with Yuri Foreman. I'm going to say that he's going to outpoint him. And Miguel Cotto's not going to disappoint us. He's going to give us his all in this fight. He's going to leave his heart in that ring, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And I know a lot. Some fight fans or Puerto Ricans are saying, well, he's going to have all the Puerto Rican fans out there might sway the judges, but Emmanuel Stewart said it best. He said this is more of a Jewish holiday. It's more of a Jewish event. So I don't think anybody's going to be persuaded. I think if anything, Yuri Foreman's going to do enough for the judges to judge for him, but not enough for the fans to want to say, okay, you're getting the torch being passed by Miguel Cotto. I think if anything, a lot of us are going to be sad to see Miguel Cotto lose this fight because he's such a likable guy. But hopefully he sticks to that game plan. That's all I got to say, because I root for the guy. But I also root for Yuri Foreman. I think he's a great guy, So anyways, I'm your host, Dave Duenas. This was another edition of The Will Be Blood.